Imagine buying a digital asset for just a few $100s and selling it years later for hundreds of thousands or even millions. It sounds unbelievable, but this happens every single year in the domain name industry. While most people think a domain is simply a website address, experienced investors see something completely different. They see digital real estate. Just like prime land in a growing city becomes more valuable over time, premium domain names can appreciate dramatically. Some domains have sold for more than luxury mansions, private islands, and exotic supercars. Yet thousands of valuable domains are still bought and sold every day. The difference is that professionals understand exactly how to identify hidden value before everyone else does. They don't rely on luck, they follow a proven system. In today's video, we're breaking down that system step by step. You'll learn how professionals evaluate domain names before investing a single dollar. We'll explore how premium domains are bought and sold in the secondary market. You'll also discover how high-value transfers are secured behind the scenes. By the end of this guide, you'll understand why many investors treat domains as long-term wealth-building assets. Before discussing prices, we first need to understand what actually creates value. Not every domain is worth thousands of dollars. Once a valuable domain has been identified, the next challenge isn't determining its worth anymore. It's understanding where serious buyers and professional investors actually meet, negotiate, and complete transactions worth anywhere from a few $100s to several million. Unlike registering a brand new domain directly from a registrar, premium domains are usually purchased through the secondary market, where existing owners list their digital assets for sale after recognizing that someone else may value them far more. Think of the secondary market as the digital equivalent of luxury real estate, where every domain has its own history, perceived value, negotiation process, and buyer profile, making every transaction unique rather than following a fixed pricing formula. Some domains are listed publicly with fixed prices, allowing buyers to purchase them instantly, while others remain available only through private negotiations where experienced brokers carefully manage conversations between buyers and sellers. Professional investors rarely rely on luck when searching for opportunities because they constantly monitor expired domains, private portfolios, auction platforms, and direct owner listings to identify undervalued assets before competitors notice them. Successful domain investing is not about collecting the most domains possible, but about acquiring assets that have genuine commercial demand and realistic appreciation potential over time. One mistake beginners frequently make is becoming emotionally attached to a domain during bidding wars, causing them to ignore market data and continue increasing their offers until profitability disappears completely. Professionals avoid this trap by calculating their maximum purchase price before entering negotiations and refusing to exceed that limit, regardless of how competitive the auction becomes. Another common strategy involves purchasing premium domains directly from current owners who may not even realize how valuable their digital property has become after years of market growth. These private acquisitions require patience, professional communication, and careful research because every owner has different expectations regarding price, payment structure, and transfer conditions. Before making an offer, experienced buyers thoroughly investigate comparable sales, historical market demand, keyword trends, branding potential, and future industry growth to justify every dollar they plan to spend. This research process helps investors negotiate confidently because they understand exactly why a domain deserves a particular valuation instead of relying on assumptions or emotional excitement. After both parties agree on a selling price, the most critical phase of the transaction begins, and this is where many inexperienced buyers unknowingly expose themselves to significant financial risks. Since premium domain transactions often involve thousands or even millions of dollars, sending payment directly to an unknown seller without proper protection is one of the biggest mistakes anyone can make. Likewise, sellers should never transfer ownership of a valuable domain before confirming that the buyer's payment has been securely received and verified through trusted channels. This exact problem led to the widespread adoption of escrow services, which have become one of the most important security mechanisms in the domain investment industry. An escrow service acts as a completely neutral third party that temporarily holds the buyer's payment until every condition of the transaction has been successfully completed by both sides. Instead of relying solely on trust, both buyer and seller depend on a structured verification process that dramatically reduces the possibility of fraud, payment disputes, or unauthorized asset transfers. The process usually begins when the buyer deposits the agreed payment into the escrow account, where the funds remain securely protected while ownership of the domain is transferred. Once the escrow provider confirms receipt of the funds, the seller begins the domain transfer process, knowing that the buyer's payment is already safely secured and cannot simply disappear. After ownership has officially changed hands and the buyer confirms successful control of the domain, the escrow company releases the funds to the seller, completing the transaction safely for everyone involved. Although escrow services charge a relatively small transaction fee, experienced investors consider this cost insignificant compared to the financial protection they provide during high-value deals. The domain industry has unfortunately seen numerous fraud attempts over the years, ranging from fake payment confirmations to stolen domains and identity impersonation, making proper transaction security absolutely essential. Cybercriminals often target valuable domains because a single successful theft can result in enormous financial gains, especially when premium digital assets are involved. This is why professional investors treat cybersecurity with the same level of importance as financial analysis, understanding that protecting ownership is just as valuable as acquiring the asset itself. Once payment security has been established, attention shifts toward the technical transfer process, which may appear simple on the surface but actually involves several important security procedures. Every domain is managed through a registrar, and transferring ownership generally requires authorization from both the current registrar and the receiving registrar before the process can move forward. One of the first requirements is obtaining an EPP authorization code, sometimes referred to as a transfer code, which functions like a secure digital password specifically designed for domain ownership transfers. Without this unique authorization code, transferring the domain becomes impossible, adding an essential layer of protection against unauthorized attempts to steal digital property. Before generating the authorization code, many registrars require the current owner to remove an existing transfer lock that intentionally prevents unexpected ownership changes. These registrar locks exist for an important reason because they help defend valuable domains from hackers attempting to initiate transfers without the owner's knowledge or consent. Another important security feature involves DNS management, which controls where visitors are directed whenever someone types the domain name into their browser. Incorrect DNS changes during a transfer can temporarily take websites offline, interrupt email services, and negatively affect businesses that depend on uninterrupted online operations. Professional investors carefully document existing DNS settings before initiating any transfer so that services can be restored immediately if unexpected configuration issues arise. Large organizations often schedule domain transfers during periods of lower website traffic to minimize potential disruptions for customers around the world. Multi-factor authentication has also become one of the strongest defenses available because it requires additional identity verification before any sensitive account changes can be completed. Even if someone manages to steal login credentials, multi-factor authentication creates another protective barrier that significantly reduces the chances of unauthorized account access. Investors managing extensive domain portfolios frequently use hardware security keys, encrypted password managers, and dedicated email accounts exclusively for domain administration. These additional precautions may seem excessive to beginners, but professionals understand that one successful cyber attack can erase years of investment returns almost instantly. Another overlooked practice is regularly monitoring row ownership records and registrar notifications to ensure no unexpected changes occur without the owner's approval. Immediate detection of suspicious activity often makes the difference between recovering a compromised domain quickly and losing control permanently. Experienced investors also maintain detailed documentation of purchase agreements, invoices, payment confirmations, and registrar communications in case ownership disputes ever arise. Accurate records create a clear legal trail that can become extremely valuable if conflicts require mediation or formal resolution through industry organizations. Beyond security, successful domain investors constantly evaluate market trends because industries evolve rapidly, and new technologies create fresh opportunities every single year. Artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, renewable energy, financial technology, robotics, and digital healthcare are examples of sectors that continue generating demand for premium domain names. Investors who identify emerging industries early often secure valuable domains before widespread public interest dramatically increases competition and market prices. This forward-thinking mindset transforms domain investing from simple buying and selling into strategic forecasting based on technological innovation and economic growth. The most successful investors understand that every premium domain represents more than a website. It represents future branding potential, customer trust, marketing efficiency, and long-term business value. They don't chase trends blindly. They study consumer behavior, business expansion, and digital transformation before making calculated investment decisions. Patience becomes one of the greatest competitive advantages because premium domains sometimes require months or even years before attracting the right buyer willing to pay full market value. Instead of accepting low offers, experienced investors focus on preserving the long-term value of exceptional digital assets. This disciplined approach separates professionals from speculators who expect instant profits after every purchase. In many ways, successful domain investing combines elements of finance, branding, technology, negotiation, marketing, and cybersecurity into one highly specialized industry. Every transaction teaches valuable lessons about market psychology, digital economics, and the importance of protecting intangible assets. As businesses continue expanding their online presence, premium domain names are becoming increasingly scarce, making high-quality digital real estate even more desirable. Scarcity has always been one of the strongest drivers of value, whether we're discussing physical land in major cities or memorable domains on the internet. The internet may continue evolving, but memorable digital identities will always remain essential for businesses competing in an increasingly crowded online marketplace. That reality is exactly why premium domains continue attracting entrepreneurs, corporations, investment funds, and experienced digital asset traders from around the world. The future of digital real estate isn't based on speculation alone, it's built on demand, scarcity, utility, and trust. Understanding those four principles allows investors to make smarter decisions while avoiding many of the costly mistakes that trap beginners. Every premium domain tells a story, but only informed investors know how to read that story before everyone else notices its value. Whether you're investing for profit, building a business, or protecting a global brand, knowledge will always be your greatest competitive advantage. Digital real estate has quietly become one of the internet's most fascinating investment opportunities, yet many people still underestimate its long-term potential. Those who understand valuation, security, negotiation, and technical ownership are far better positioned to benefit from this evolving digital economy. The blueprint isn't complicated, but it does require patience, research, discipline, and a commitment to continuous learning. Every successful investor started by understanding the fundamentals before risking significant amounts of capital. The same principle applies to domains, where preparation consistently outperforms impulse. As technology continues reshaping global commerce, premium domains will remain foundational assets for businesses seeking visibility and credibility. Smart investors recognize this shift long before the general public catches up. That's why they continue building carefully selected portfolios instead of chasing random opportunities. Their success comes from consistency rather than luck. Every purchase follows a strategy, every sale follows a plan, and every transfer follows strict security procedures. That combination is what transforms ordinary domain names into valuable digital investments. And ultimately, that's the true blueprint of digital real estate. It's not about owning the most domains, it's about owning the right domains. It's about protecting them properly and knowing exactly when the market is ready to reward your patience. The internet will continue expanding, businesses will continue competing, Brands will continue searching for memorable identities, and premium domains will continue playing a central role in that competition. Those who understand the market today may find themselves holding tomorrow's most valuable digital properties. The opportunity already exists. The knowledge is available. The only remaining question is whether you'll recognize value before everyone else does. Because in digital real estate, timing and preparation often determine everything. The investors who win are rarely the fastest, they're usually the most informed, and informed decisions consistently outperform emotional ones. That's the foundation of every successful domain portfolio. It's a strategy built on research rather than hope, a strategy protected by security rather than assumptions, and a strategy driven by long-term vision instead of short-term excitement. Once you master these principles, domains stop looking like simple web addresses and start looking like valuable business assets. That's the mindset shared by the world's most successful digital real estate investors. They don't just buy domains, they acquire opportunities. They don't simply own digital names, they own pieces of the internet's future. And that is the complete blueprint for understanding, valuing, securing, and trading premium domains like a true digital real estate professional.